like a tide that lifts my little inner tube I'm laying in on the ocean. Or when you hold a basketball underneath the water in the pool and then it pops out. We're talking NFL free agent risers. Producer, hit that button. Welcome to another edition of the Fantasy Forecast with Grindberg and Bigz. He is Grindberg. I am Bigz. Schultzy is in the producer's booth. That's my cousin. We are here to talk free agency risers in the fantasy space. We've got some player movement, guys that we've been waiting on for years to pop, who are sliding into some pretty tight, nice opportunities for themselves. I'm hopped up on cold medication. I'm trying to save my voice. How are you guys doing?
Pretty tight and nice, if you ask me. I'm ready to go here, Bigz. And noise. Ready. Free agent has been crazy. It has been insane. I don't remember a year where day one of the legal tampering period was so fire and ready to break it all down here with our risers. And next week we'll bring our fallers down to earth. But Schultzy, how are you doing tonight?
Hey, I'm fantastic. Except I had a little scare, like literally seconds ago. We were firing up this recording, and I had Twitter open on the other screen, and I saw Tony Khan was trending, and I got really scared. Something bad Jaguars is happening because that just happens, right? It was wrestling stuff. We're good.
Oh, good. Speaking of the Jags, the mascot madness brackets were released today, and I went in and did my voting. Jacksonville's mascot got a pretty good seating, and of course I voted for him.
Let's go.
Let's go, Bigz. You are just following through for our buddy Schultzy everywhere we look. And what do we got going on right now here on the forecast? We are talking about the risers. So let's get into our tight ends and quarterbacks. We'll start with them. Two positions where free agency can quickly reshape fantasy opportunities for quarterbacks. It's about job security, supporting cast, and whether, the new situation unlocks more passing volume. And then for the tight ends, it's scheme fit. And Bigz, why don't you start us off with your first riser, a guy that is in a new situation here. And I think I like what I see here with his potential.
Well, I noticed that when I went to enter the name, you guys each had a quarterback, so I pivoted to tight end, but then you pivoted to tight end, so now we have fewer quarterbacks to talk about. And I was going to talk about Justin Fields because I think he is in an advantageous position, and he could do something from his free agency spot. But the guy I'm going to talk about is a tight end, and he is very likely to have a much better year than we've seen from him. Isaiah Likely, of course, Baltimore Ravens tight end. He's played second fiddle behind Mark Andrews, who's been a Hall of Fame fantasy tight end for a lot of years. And Isaiah Likely came out of Coastal Carolina as a hyper athletic, more of a big slot wide receiver type, and the Ravens under Coach John Harbaugh used him that way, but unfortunately it was not in a featured role. When Mark Andrews got hurt, Likely had a couple of big spike games. We've been hanging on to Theo Johnson. Spoiler alert, he's going to wind up on as my faller for next week. But had a lot of interest in Theo Johnson, but the Giants went out and they signed Isaiah Likely. So Isaiah Likely, with the intermediate accuracy of Jackson Dart, he's essentially going to hopefully take over the role of safety middle guy that Wan'Dale Robinson had last year in the Giants offense. He's got Malik Neighbors to take the top off, to take double teams and things like that. Isaiah Likely finally lands in a good position where he should be the tight end one on his team, and it's going to show in fantasy. Not bad for cold medication.
Situations. There you go, Bigz. Yeah, in a good situation, I think things are going to really turn around for him, and he's going to be able to start there. So, yeah, like what I see here from Isaiah Likely. Schultz, you got anything to add?
Yeah, I like this one a lot, following Jim Harbaugh here. You got to love the development he could take with Jackson Dart. I know Theo Johnson's a little sad here, but with Jim Harbaugh, you've got to expect a ton of 21 personnel coming here. So I think we'll be good.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's move into my tight end here, who I'm going to be talking about.
Hey, Mike,
because
who's your tight end you're going to be talking about?
Chig Okonkwo. Chig, choo choo. Let's do it. Let's talk about Chig, and he's a riser for me. So let's dive into my first riser. And he inked a good deal with the Commanders after spending his early years here with Tennessee, and the move is a game changer for him, leaving behind the Titans offense that obviously struggled with inconsistency and poor quarterback play, especially after they pivoted to adding pieces like Wan'Dale Robinson without prioritizing tight end spots. So now he's stepping into the Commander system here that has shown real promise under Jaden Daniels, who was injured for most of last year. And I think he's going to come in and do some things here in a new offense here with that tight end room thin with Zach Ertz's departure and injury issues. So I think Okonkwo slots in as the clear number one tight end with a chance to finally showcase his speed, his route running in a more dynamic, pass-happy environment. This elevates Okonkwo here to, it isn't just a fresh start. It's a great scheme fit, and the Commanders offense exploded in glimpses during 2024, but we got to remember, the injuries hit in 2025. So I think with Daniels healthy, this could be one of the league's most rising units. Okonkwo has always flashed that big playability in Tennessee, but is bogged down by limited opportunities and that run first mentality. Now he's in a spot where he can build chemistry with a mobile quarterback that extends plays, opening up those seams for those routes and those yak opportunities. So I'm really high on Chig here. And I think he's going to be a weekly streamer at tight end, a tight end one, I think he's going to finish the season at. So I think he's a great buy in Dynasty and a guy that you're probably going to get later on in your drafts. And I'd be picking him up everywhere I can before the steam happens.
He's another guy that we've been kind of waiting on for a few years. And sad trombone for Ben Sinnott. Also, that's a really weird looking G.
Chick. It's a chick. It's a chick. It's chic. Okonkwo. All right, Schultzy, bring up your guy.
Okay, well, I mean, this is like the most obvious statement of the year here, but like we'd be remiss without mentioning Malik Willis, right? We got this massive 3-year, $67.5 million contract. And look, he proved that someone's got to give this guy a chance, right? Like we saw the struggles in Tennessee, and then after, he goes over to Green Bay, sits, learns behind Jordan Love in a solid offense under a good coach. He got a little bit of chance here and took advantage of it, right? We saw a couple of games with some nice rushing floor. He had a nice passing upside game. Look, he's got the tools. We love the rushing floor you're going to see from him. There's some concerns here, but this is just a riser, right? He went from a dude who's on the bench and he's hoping for an injury to get a chance, and boom, he's a starter. Like, what else do you need? He's got no Waddle now, right? That's a big concern. That stinks. Like he's literally down to some cast-offs like Terrace Marshall and Jalen Tolbert. And they still got Malik Washington. I think there's a young guy who might have a little juice. And then we've got another veteran, Cedric Wilson. Like, this is a total cast-off of guys he's going to be throwing to. And that stinks, right? That's not ideal. However, we got Devon Achane still. And I love this guy. I talked about him a ton last year. He's a reception machine. This offense flows through this guy, and I believe it's going to stay the same way. There's going to be a lot of free yards for Malik Willis by just dumping it off to Achane. Last thing here, this team's going to suck, okay? It's going to be brutal for the Dolphins this year. Garbage time city for Malik Willis. We're looking at a guy, like I said, he was riding the bench. He's going to start. The pieces around him might not be great, but there's going to be plenty of opportunity to do something here.
Yeah, it's a situation that reminds me a whole lot of Justin Fields last year, and we saw how that worked out. Um, it's scary for me. I was not in on Malik Willis when he was coming out of Liberty University. I wasn't in on him when he was, with the Titans. His backup role in Green Bay was kind of nice and tight, but but he's going to get an opportunity in Miami. It looks like he's developed some over the last few years, without pressure and holding a clipboard and all that cliche stuff. It'll be interesting. But Devon Achane and Malik Washington, those guys being your primary offensive teammates, that's pretty light work.
Yeah, well, I mean, but just think of the rushing upside. I think he could actually lead the league in rushing this year, like as a quarterback, and we know what that does for fantasy. I don't think the Dolphins are going to be anywhere near in the standings here. So, I mean, Willis is in great position, and if you can get him maybe 2,800 passing yards, then that's a QB1 some weeks here with that rushing upside, and that alone to me is going to be something that I'm going to be looking at in drafts depending on where he's going. So yeah, like I like what you said there, Schultzy, about his opportunity, and I like what you backed up there, Biggs. So yeah, I like Malik Willis.
I do want to touch real quickly on Justin Fields. We had kind of high hopes for him coming out last year, but turns out he went to a garbage organization. This year, he signs a free agent deal to back up Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes had a season-ending injury last year. He's currently rehabbing, trying to make it back for week 1. Justin Fields in Kansas City is going to wind up being the primary quarterback for most of the offseason snaps and through the preseason games. So if for some reason Mahomes has a setback in his rehab, isn't ready to go week 1, or has a re-injury issue or something like that, Justin Fields is going to be a big part of that Kansas City Chiefs backup structure, and he could see a really, really good opportunity to get on the field with a good organization, with weapons in-house, with a good defense to keep giving him the ball. So we could see a big, huge bump from Justin Fields this year simply because he chose to sign with Kansas City.
Fair. We'll see what happens there. I mean, it's an interesting situation, Mahomes' injury has the potential of looming here right into the start of the regular season. Obviously, that's what I've been looking for my Chiefs, is like what they're doing at quarterback at this situation, and if they were going to bring in a guy that's going to take some pressure off the start here. So yeah, I think this could be a very big situation for my next riser as well. After Biggs, you talk about a running back here.
So let me put on the coach hat real quick and ask you a question. You are a Chiefs fan. Would you rather the Chiefs have signed Justin Fields, Derek Carr, or Kirk Cousins?
Probably Justin Fields, I guess. Yeah,
easily to me.
Okay. Hey, what about them wide receivers?
Yeah. Are we talking wide receivers next, or are we talking about running backs? Schultzy, what's on the screen?
It's going to be Biggs as running back.
Oh,
there it is. Biggs is running back.
My running back. My running back, Biggs riser, is Tyler Allgeier. Goodness, another guy that we've been waiting for. He had a fantastic rookie season. The Falcons completely plummeted his fantasy stock by drafting Bijan Robinson. Now he has the opportunity to go win a job over Trey Benson and deal with a rickety James Conner who just keeps getting older every year. Funny that. And deals with injuries just about every year. So Tyler Allgeier, we know what he can do with the ball in his hands. We know that he's okay in the receiving game. And he might have an opportunity to be the RB1, 250 snaps as an RB for the Arizona Cardinals. And so his dynasty or his fantasy stock just went way up. And he's in a situation where he's not going to be one of the highlight names. So this is a guy that you're going to be able to draft in the middle rounds of your redraft leagues, and he has the opportunity to be an absolute boon for you and overplay his ADP.
Love it, Biggs. I think so too. I mean, they're showing their cards. They've signed a couple of veterans here. They extended James Conner. They have Trey Benson in their wing. Obviously, he's not going to, push a little bit too hard here. And then obviously Allgeier is getting the money a bit. So I think this is a set backfield. We're not going to have to worry about any rookies coming in here and disturbing that backfield. But what we should be talking about is some of these rookies that may be popping into their offense. So let's bring up this rookie guide promo here, Schultzy. There's a lot going on in FSN, and Bigz has got a little bit to say about it. So let's hear all about our FSN rookie prospect guide.
We've all been there, watching a can't-miss rookie bust while your rival scoops up the next superstar on waivers. The 2026 class is deep, talented, and full of landmines. Do you know who's actually worth the 101? Stop guessing, start scouting. The Fantasy Sports Advice Network 2026 Rookie Prospect Guide is your blueprint for a dynasty. The experts from the Fantasy Forecast, the Devi Dojo, the Dynasty Pulse have logged the hours so you don't have to. From advanced analytical models to raw film grading, we give you the data that translates to Sunday points. Don't just participate in your draft, dominate it. Download the 2026 guide at fsan.com today. Your championship starts here. Heck yeah, brother.
Heck yeah, brother. Let's do it. All right, let's get into my riser at the running back position, and it's telltale heart here. Obviously, I'm going to be talking about my Chiefs and a huge move for my team, and it's a massive riser, I think, for Kenneth Walker signing with the Chiefs after, that Super Bowl MVP run with the Seahawks. This is the ultimate environment upgrade to me, leaving a Seahawks backfield where he frustratingly split carries with Zach Charbonnet and often lost goal line work despite proving he could dominate when healthy. Now he's the undisputed lead back in Andy Reid's high-octane offense where the Chiefs desperately need to revamp their ground game. And, a little bit of a banged-up Mahomes. I could just see them starting out really big and heavily relying on Kenneth Walker. To me right now, he's a running back 1 in redraft right now. He's my running back 9 going into this season right now, depending on landing spots, obviously, with these rookies and, the rest of the free agency to see how things shake up. But what a great spot for him. He gets a clear lead back role. And, I think he's going to add some in the passing game as well. And I think he's going to be a well-rounded guy. He may not be the number 1 running back in the league. He may not be top 5, but now he gets that workhorse role where he's going to get a lot of work. And you know what he does with that explosiveness after he gets the ball. Super Bowl playoff run. Kenneth Walker, welcome to the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm pumped to have you here, and I think fantasy managers will be too.
This is the absolute home run of home runs, man. Like, I love Kenneth Walker. I always have. Fun fact, when I first got into doing some fantasy content, I wrote an article that I thought this was the 101 over Breece Hall, and I drafted him over Breece Hall. And I'm not like, I still, like, talent-wise, I think Breece may have the edge at this point in their careers. However, stat-wise, they're neck and neck. Kenneth's got the touchdowns, and this is while we've been dealing with Charbonnet, right? So I've always loved this dude. He's going to score from anywhere on the field. He can make you miss. I love Kenneth Walker. Like, you nailed it. Like, this is a match made in heaven. This is where we all wanted Breece to go, right? Breece, maybe ETN. Like, we never even thought this was a possibility. And I love it. He was the focal point, right? They were trying to stop Kenneth Walker. That's not the case anymore. You've got way too much to worry about. And now you've got him as a second fiddle threat. I love it.
I will have no shares. Schultzy, who's your RB?
The price is going to be outrageous. And I don't know how many shares I'll have at the price. But speaking just fit, I love it. For me, it's Chris Rodriguez, man. So Grindberg hit the Chiefs. I'm going to hit you with the Jaguars. This is a dude.
Homer picks.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a guy who has been a backup. He's kind of just been, we're going to throw you in when there's been injuries, give you a little bit of mutter work, right? Like just some early down early down work, we're just going to plot out 4 yards, and that's great for you, right? That's all we really want from you. And now we see ETN leave. That opened up Bashal too, and they signed Chris Rodriguez for 2 years and $12 million, which is a pretty low contract on the free agent market here for running backs. And so it didn't seem like a lot on the surface until you start digging in that Liam Cohen coached this guy at Kentucky. Liam Cohen loves this guy. When you listen to him talk about Chris Rodriguez, he is infatuated with Chris Rodriguez. He loves him. That is huge, right? You've got the head coach. It's clearly the head coach went up there and said, go get me this guy. And since Chris Rodriguez entered the NFL, here are your success rate leaders. Kyren Williams is leading the league in the last 3 years, 47.2%. Guess who's second? Chris Rodriguez at 47%.
Chris Rodriguez.
Nailed it, Biggs.
Bashal Tootin.
Yards after contact per rush since Chris Rodriguez has entered the league. 3.85, Devon Achane. Guess who's second? Chris Rodriguez. 3.59 yards after contact per rush. Okay. Looking at last season alone, success rate, number 1 and 2. Kyren Williams.
Chris Rodriguez.
You're wrong. It's Blake Corum this time. Number 3, Emmanuel Wilson. Number 4, Chris Rodriguez.
Chris
5,
Rodriguez.
Bashal Tootin. So 4 out of 5 guys on this list, the top 4 out of the top 5 guys in success rate last year were James Gladstone, Jaguars GM, has had a hand in selecting 4 out of the top 5 players in success rate last year. He was director of college scouting when they drafted Kyren Williams and Blake Corum. He was obviously GM when the Jags drafted Bashal Tootin, and now he's here bringing in Chris Rodriguez to the mix. I know we were so
LaQuinn Allen.
What?
LaQuinn Allen.
Hey, you know what? He's got that third.
Sorry, I'm a little delayed there.
He's going to have a little bit of a role, right? But I don't think he's going to carve into either of these two guys. I think Chris Rodriguez is going to be your early down mutter, man. He shows he can fight through contact. He's a good runner. He's just going to have success, and that's what this offense needs. Just move the ball forward. Just keep the defense, keep the threat, right? You keep that threat, it opens up the pass. It turns around, it opens up the run for Tootin. Chris Rodriguez is going to get work in this offense. They've already talked about how it's probably going to be a committee. I still love Bashal Tootin. I think both of these guys are going to have solid roles. Chris Rodriguez is going to probably be your goal line back. Bashal Tootin's going to be your receiver. Look at the receiving numbers here. In 3 seasons, we've got 6 catches for Chris Rodriguez. So I think it's defined. The proof's in the pudding. He's going to be your early down. Let's just get some chunk yards, help the offense move, and then we're going to throw Bashal in for some lightning. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to work. Chris Rodriguez is probably really cheap, and I think he's a slam dunk in redraft and best ball late.
Yeah, we know Chris Rodriguez because and obviously the Jags GM is a spreadsheet guy. When we look at Chris Rodriguez, it reminds me a lot of what we felt about Tyler Warren a few years ago when you put his analytics up next to Najee Harris, and you were like, why is Najee Harris getting 250 carries? Give the ball to Tyler Warren more. Somehow, Jalen Warren. Cold medicine. There have been a handful of running backs that I could see on the spreadsheet what they had the opportunity to do, and they were just with boneheaded organizations that didn't give them the opportunity. So I had Kenneth Gainwell a few years ago in Dynasty and just waited and waited. They wouldn't give him the opportunity in Philly. What happens when he goes to Pittsburgh? They unlock him. Now, Pittsburgh somehow unlocked Warren too, let Najee Harris go. Now we have Chris Rodriguez, who's with bonehead organization Washington. Why aren't you giving him the ball all the time? Now he's on to Jacksonville, where they know what they have with him, and like you said, it's gonna be a committee. But if he does get a chance to start and pick up maybe 200 carries, that's going to be a pretty good year for him in fantasy.
An offense is going to score enough that he can easily get you 8 to 10 touchdowns on the ground.
Yeah, double-digit touchdowns is not out of the realm of possibility.
All right. Yeah, I don't disagree. I think Tootin's going to have a really good role in this offense, but I also think that, like Biggs mentioned, he's going to be the goal line guy, and he's going to really plug in this Chris Rodriguez there. So, yeah, I think that Schultzy, you nailed your team there, and I think that this is a good pick for them. And, get some Chris Rodriguez, folks, because I think he's going to be a value later on in drafts. So, yeah, both those guys are going to have good games. You're darn tootin'. All right. Let's get into some spotlights. We decided, or I guess I decided to spotlight the wide receivers today. So let's get into the wide receiver spotlight, and it's Big's homer pick. So let's start with let's run his video so we can talk about his new homeboy.
Yeah, this is a homer pick too. I'm talking about Jalen Nailor, one of the newest additions to the Las Vegas Raiders franchise. There's one thing that we know about Jalen Nailor, and that is he has spent 4 years in the NFL being mid. He has 2 finishes inside the top 100 in PPR. His best season was last season. He finished as wide receiver 61. But he comes to a Raiders team that is kind of like what we were talking about with the other team that the Miami Dolphins. That wide receiver room is not great, Bob. Brock Bowers is obviously the straw that stirs the drink in that room. Jack Besh, we hope, comes on. Dante Thornton might be a 3-year project, 3-year boom guy. Jalen Nailor has the type of profile that reminds me of some of the later emergence in stars like Devontae Adams, the other guy from the Chargers. No, I can't remember. Keenan Allen. Good Lord. He reminds me of that profile, and one of the things, there is emphasis right now on the Raiders drafting Fernando Mendoza. Mike knows through his video deep dives on Fernando Mendoza, he throws a really good intermediate boundary ball. He gets out routes on the boundary in the midfield, and he's very, very accurate with them. That's kind of his bread and butter, and that's the exact type of route that Jalen Nailor nails. So if there's going to be an opportunity for Jalen Nailor to finish as a wide receiver 48, it likely will be with Fernando Mendoza at quarterback. So it's a good signing for him because he has an opportunity to flash his veteranness and beat out some young wide receivers as far as opportunities are concerned. And he might just be getting gift wrapped a quarterback that plays right into his skill set. So I think 61 is going to be his worst finish for the rest of his career.
Yeah, we talk about teams that, you really want to take advantage of in the offseason, picking the teams that are going to explode the next year in fantasy. And I've got this Las Vegas Raiders team pegged as one of those teams that I'm just going to ride, later on in drafts. And I'm going to pick with the value where I can. I think Brock Bowers is going to have a monster season. Ashton Genty as well. And I think Jalen Nailor now, depending on what the draft goes for them as well, they could be in the market to get a wide receiver too, as well, Biggs in the draft potentially here. So, there's a deep class at that wide receiver position. So maybe round 3 or 4, I'm not sure what kind of capital you guys have there, but, maybe getting a long, lanky guy that could, stretch the field a bit as well. But that doesn't play into Nailor's strengths anyway. So I think this is a very safe pick for them, and a guy that's going to be on the radar in fantasy as a guy that maybe you could play in deeper rosters as a flex, depending on the matchup.
Please don't draft Fernando Mendoza. Please don't draft Fernando Mendoza. Please don't draft Fernando Mendoza.
I love him so much.
The price is so cheap here that you've got to do it. You're going to get a starting receiver. The snaps are going to be there. Who cares if the target share isn't super crazy high? Who cares if the target volume isn't super crazy high? Yeah. It's gonna be enough to warrant the price here, for crying out loud. This guy's gonna be absolutely free.
Mm-hmm. All right, I love it. You nailed her there, Biggs. All right, let's get into my spotlight.
Hardly even knew her.
All right, so finally for my spotlight at wide receiver, I'm going to be pounding the table again for my boy Emeka Egbuka, and he's a post-free agency riser with the Bucks after, a rookie year that was hampered by a crowded wide receiver room, some adjustments, after that injury, an injury to his quarterback. Baker Mayfield did not look, the same after he suffered that injury early in the season, and now he gets that departure from Mike Evans, and he's going to the 49ers. So where does those targets go? Well, I think Egbuka is going to be the prime beneficiary of this, obviously alongside Chris Godwin and Jalen McMillan, who I think is also going to be a guy that benefited huge here. They know what they have in those two guys, those two young year 2, year 3 gentlemen here, and McMillan and Egbuka, and Chris Godwin is just going to lead the way here as a veteran presence. That offense still remains potent. Mayfield is going to sling it if he's healthy, and I think he's back to that. And who's hogging those alpha duties? Well, I think Egbuka's got that slot versatility and, that route precision that's going to get unleashed again like it was in the earlier part of last season. The Bucks didn't chase a big wide receiver in free agency. Instead, they focused on tight end and running back. And, they got Kenneth Gainwell. Now he's going to be able to, help in the passing game as well. But I think Egbuka here is going to be the guy with Jalen McMillan as the core guys leading the way here. And, 1.94 yards per route run in the games that Evans was absent, a 75% slot rate, and he projects to be a high volume on the outside as well. So I love what I see here. I think this is a valid confidence here for Egbuka, and I think he's going to take a huge year 2 leap here, 100 targets, consistent wide receiver 2 floor with wide receiver 1 ceiling weeks, and I think free agency just said it right there that I can trust Egbuka again, and I think he's going to have a monster season here in 2026, guys.
So you're saying you can be a riser even if you don't change your location?
Exactly. Yeah,
All right.
Absolutely.
You know who had 2 top 10 finishes last year? Jalen Nailor.
He sees a new area. All right, Schultzy. Let's get into your spotlight here, and they go hand in hand, our two guys. So talk about the departure of your guy.
Yeah, so Mike Evans, and you might be thinking, how are we getting a riser out of a wide receiver who's played 12 seasons in the league? Well, you know what? First of all, injured last year. Worst season of his career. 30 catches, 368 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Look, barring another catastrophic injury, that's not happening again. So I don't care where he's playing. We're rising based off that alone, right? Second of all, the competition in a very crowded wide receiver room in Tampa last year was just not ideal for anybody. I mean, you just talked about Egbuka. He broke out super early, and he paved the way to, like, he had to be on the field. Godwin came back from injury. There's the veteran. He's got to be out there. We saw flashes from McMillan. They started doing a little bit of stuff with Tez Johnson. Like, there was just a lot of things happening here and just not enough mouths to feed. And so we go over to San Francisco. We lose Juwan Jennings, and we're going to slot right into this Juwan Jennings role. We got George Kittle. You got CMC taken off the main attention. I don't care about this guy's age, right? This offense is going to score a crap load of points still. He is going to get the red zone opportunities that we saw Juwan Jennings get. The guy just caught 9 touchdowns last year, 6 the year prior to that. He was almost a 1,000-yard receiver in 24. Juwan Jennings is a completely average receiver. Mike Evans is a Hall of Famer. 0 questions about it. I understand the injury is a little bit of a concern because we've seen a lot of nicks from him in his career. And look, you want to put your tinfoil hat on. We've got the San Francisco electromagnetic field thing going on here too. So have fun with that, everybody. But regardless, he doesn't need high volume at this point in his career, and at this location, right in San Francisco, he doesn't need high volume targets. They're going to be high value targets. So he's going to still be an intermediate threat. He's going to be able to go up and make contested catches better than Jauan Jennings. I think this is an absolute upgrade from Jauan Jennings to Mike Evans. Leaving Tampa, being in here for 12 years, it does seem a little hard to be a riser, but this was a perfect spot for him.
I'm going to disagree with your police work here, Lou. Not in a negative sense, only in a positive sense. Number one, George Kittle tore an Achilles, might not play in 2026. So
November, maybe, yeah.
Essentially, you've got California Golden Bear legend tight end to back up for him. So Jake Tongas is not going to really take any targets away from Mike Evans. Secondly, Jauan Jennings, more of a slot receiver. Mike Evans, a boundary guy. I feel like he takes away Ayuk's role, and then Jacob Cowing is going to be the slot guy that they use in place of Jauan Jennings. Then you have Ricky Pearsall like running all over the place. But other than that, dead on, dead accurate. It's a great situation for Mike Evans. Baker Mayfield is but Brock Purdy is like top 4 in points per drop back every season. And so this is going to be a much better quarterback situation for Mike Evans. I think he made the right decision in leaving Tampa Bay for his stat line, not necessarily his legacy. We hate to see, that uniform on that guy, but I think for our fantasy purposes and his stat line, I think that was the best decision to make.
So I will agree with you what you said about Jauan Jennings being like the slot stuff. But for me, what I saw out of Jauan Jennings, a lot of intermediate targets, a lot of red zone targets, and I think that's where Evans is going to slot in big.
Yes,
fair. But we have to also keep in mind here that the 49ers did bring in Christian Kirk yesterday, so that's going to probably take that slot role. So I think. I'm just saying that might pump the brakes on the Jacob Cowan scheme for this year, but taking on that slot role, they're bringing in this veteran presence here. They're making a run, and Mike Evans is going to be there, and I think this is like a complete repeat of last year's Devontae Adams, where he's going to be that red zone guy. I could see him getting 1 to 2 touchdowns a game on average, throughout the whole season here, and that is just the prolificness of that offense. And this is going to keep Christian McCaffrey healthy, I think, more so throughout the season, with the red zone looks and, keeping him a little bit more outside of that, bruising in the red zone where they have a threat here. That is really going to be a guy that, him and Purdy, if they can get on the same page early, watch out. This could be like a 15 touchdown plus season here for Mike Evans.
Don't you take my third-year breakout candidate away from me, Michael.
I love the Devontae Adams connection, by the way. That I see that. That's very, very strong. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the red zone opportunity, and he may not be that separator. He can go up and get those contested catches, and I think he may, not need to have to be that downfield threat. I still see him, getting his average 1,000-yard year, but I think this is the year where his touchdowns might be up there with some red zone presence. They saw the formula last year with the Rams, and I think they're going to try and take a little bit out of that playbook here. All right.
Yeah. Lastly, I will say I was remiss on. I wanted to say Brock Purdy liked to look for, I think, Jauan Jennings in the scramble drill a lot too, and I think that will translate as well because Purdy's good in the scramble drill, and now you've got another huge guy to just throw the ball up to.
Yeah, he and Baker did that all the time.
Shakeups. All right, guys. Banger of a show. We had some risers here from free agency. Next week, we will tackle the fallers, guys that, probably you may want to avoid, especially at their ADPs, but great show. Be sure to check out tomorrow morning. The Dynasty Pulse is going to be dropping here. We've got the tier show. We're going to be talking about the rookie tiers. Biggs, take us home like you always do. We think we got the rookie guide going on. What else do we got going on?
Go to FSAN.com. Go to the merch store. Buy the rookie guide for your Dynasty fantasy football needs. Hit us in the comments if you want to play Dynasty Fantasy Football with Jamie Pirog. We will put together a league for Dynasty novices and all that stuff. Like, subscribe, hit the bell. Keep watching. I'm going to try and get over this cold, and we will see you next week. We hope you win.
Okay. Hope you win, folks. Okay. Talk to you next week. Peace.
We've all been there, watching a can't-miss rookie bust while your rival scoops up the next superstar on waivers. The 2026 class is deep, talented, and full of landmines. Do you know who's actually worth the 101? Stop guessing, start scouting. The Fantasy Sports Advice Network 2026 Rookie Prospect Guide is your blueprint for a dynasty. The experts from the Fantasy Forecast, the Devi Dojo, the Dynasty Pulse have logged the hours so you don't have to. From advanced analytical models to raw film grading, we give you the data that translates to Sunday points. Don't just participate in your draft, dominate it. Download the 2026 guide at fsan.com today. Your championship starts here.